And we're going to go into like secondary, you know, we're going to do primary, secondary, and tertiary markets here in just a minute. So I want to get into that with you guys, and then just make sure we can kind of, you know, at least I'm going to teach you a couple of things about like looking at your market. A couple of people yesterday were asking like, how do you figure out your market? Let's talk about that a little bit. Okay. Yeah. And then another thing too, like just like Aline said, is like when something is like when you get it, when it's like when you get it, okay, awesome, right? But when you don't get it, it's like you should be like learning how to do that, right? Because uh, you know, just because you can't get something in the first place doesn't mean you shouldn't learn how to do it. I did not understand the concept of wholesaling when I first got started. I just couldn't understand like people are just buying and selling paper. And that's exactly the same way that notes is. People are just buying and selling paper. I couldn't grasp that concept because for me, the reason I love real estate and investing in real estate is because it's so tangible, right? And I can't grasp the concept of the stock market either. I just really have a hard time with that. And I just like tangible. I like to be able to touch my assets, right? So, and that's one of the things that I tell my lenders, my private lenders, when I'm talking to them, because, you know, I'm 100% privately funded, and we'll get in that today, how I did that and why I did that. But I'm 100% privately funded. And we talked about that yesterday. Remember? What did I say? I said, if you're going to get into this business, you have to learn how to fundraise. You have to learn how to raise money. So one of the things you should have, like, you know, a piece of paper to the side of you. And then whenever you say, oh yeah, I really need to do that, you just put it on that list, right? And one of the things that you should have on that list is I need to learn how to fundraise. That's the thing, is I need to become a fundraiser and learn how to raise money, because the truth is in the real estate investing world, if you can't fundraise, then, you know, if you can't learn how to raise money, then you're only going to be able to do so many deals, right? So if you really want to get into this, if you truly want to be an investor, then you've got to learn how to raise money. Okay, good. We've got some Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., Maryland. I hear a lot of primary markets. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk today about self-storage investing. For anybody that wasn't here yesterday, I'm Stacy Rossetti, and I am the founder of REI USA. And REI USA is an online education platform to teach people how to invest in real estate. And what we do, what the platform does, is really just put you in front of expert investors so that they can teach and coach you. And they do that through live webinars, just like this, right? So you guys are in my office right now. This is where I teach. This is where I teach all REI USA stuff, all my students, everything. And this is exactly how all the other investors are. We're just regular investors that are out like doing deals, and then we carve away a few hours a month to go out there and just kind of share what we know. And the underlying theme of REI USA is the secret to living is giving. Who says that? The secret to living is giving. If anybody knows who says that, then you get a bonus point, right? And the secret to living is giving, and that's my philosophy, and that is like all the teachers' philosophies. They know that, you know, the more that you give, the more you get, you know, the more the universe is going to give back to you, right? That's the underlying theme of REI USA. So REI USA is not a pitch fest, right? People are not trying to sell you. People are teaching you, right? All right, let me know if you see a teacher trying to pitch you, but they all know that they're not supposed to, right? But just in case, you know, and that, you know, we're here to teach, we're here to guide you. And then Christy's our community manager, and you're going to meet her at lunch, and she's there to help you answer any questions like, oh, I'm lost. What do I do with this? What do I do with this? And she'll guide you to which teacher is the best person to talk to about your situation. All right. So we're all here to help you. And then, okay, so Maddie says she's in Stone Mountain and she learned something from all of the speakers Saturday. I will probably be doing my first rehab and rental in a couple of months. So I was very interested in information from Lynette and Kenneth. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Yes, good. Do not be afraid of rehabs. So that's the one thing that, like, that's why I was asking Kenneth. I was like, are people actually doing rehabs right now? Because in my mind, it's like there's no houses out there. There's no deals out there. Everything's too tight, you know, and that's what I was thinking too. And he was like, no, people are doing deals. And there's a lot of new construction out there too. Now, new construction is like a whole nother game, right? But I tried some new construction as well too. I did rehabbing. I've done wholesaling, rehabbing. I've done new construction. I've done almost every type of creative financing deal that you can imagine. And then I got started into self-storage investing, and now I haven't looked back, right? I haven't looked back. So we're going to get into self-storage investing. But again, so keep in the chat, keep talking to us and let us know what your thoughts are. What are you thinking? Give us your takeaways for today. I want to hear that, but also the teachers want to hear. I mean, honestly, they want to know what you guys need help with, you know, what you're learning, you know, so they can help you. Okay. All right. So okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about self-storage investing. It's the best kept secret in the real estate investing world. And I don't know why more people are not investing in self-storage. To me, self-storage is the way that me and my husband and my daughter, who's 5 years old, can create the lifestyle that we want, right? Everybody wants to get a real estate investing so they can create the lifestyle that you want. For us, it truly is the way that we create our lives. Think about this. Think about number one, how would your life look, right? How would your life look if you just said, this is really what I want to do. This is the thing that I want to do. Like, this is what's going to make me happy, right? This is what's going to make me happy. And whatever that thing is, this is like the thing that I want to do in life. Whatever that thing is, work is the byproduct, right? Work is what you're doing on the side in order to fund this one thing, right? So that's really how it's become for me and my husband, Pete. We started out in 2010 investing in real estate. My husband owned a home inspection company. He started a home inspection company in 2009, right in the upturn, right outside of the bubble. He started this home inspection business. And he actually, the first year that he started, he sucked bad. I had a job that paid like a lot of money, like, you know, 6 digits. So I was like, just go do your own thing, you know, whatever. And so he was like, I'm going to be a home inspector. And so he like started this home inspection company. And the first year, 2009, like, I think he did hardly any business at all. It was horrible. And he was just like, what am I doing wrong? Because he was out there really trying to like push it and stuff. And of course, the market was horrible at the same time, but there were so many houses on the market, right? And so what he did is he got a coach. Guess what? There's like home inspection coaches out there, right? There's a coach for everything now, right? So he hired a guy that teaches home inspectors how to build their business up. And immediately, once he hired that coach, his business took off, like literally just took off. And so 2010, 2011, 2012, he was just rocking and rolling. And guess what? I was working for a company that I built wind turbines, if anybody wants to know. But anyways, I was working for a company and just traveling around and doing my thing. And I saw him growing his business. And he was actually the one that got us into real estate investing. And he was the one that was like, Stacy's like, I am seeing so many ridiculously disgusting, nasty houses. And he's like, we should be buying these things and like fixing them up and selling them. And I was just like, what? I said, he's like, you can do it on the side. We can do it on the side. We can do that on the side while you have your business and I have my home inspection company. And I was just like, nah, I ain't got time for that. But I did see his business grow and grow and grow. And so over like, you know, so then finally he talked me into it. We went out and looked at all these houses and stuff and ended up buying our first property. and started doing flipping and wholesaling. So he talked me into it, and you know, we didn't have any idea what we were doing, but we got into a coaching program as well. So he was like, look, my coach here is telling us, like, no matter what you do, you should just get a coach and they'll tell you what to do, right? So that's what we did. We hired a coach to help us with our wholesaling and rehabbing company. And then from there, like, it just took off. And luckily my company, the one that was building the wind turbines, they decided to close down shop, and they gave me like 6 months severance. So they gave us like a 6 months notice and then 6 months severance. And like during that 6 months notice, like we didn't do anything. We're just like, you know, fiddling around or whatever. So I just started really working on the rehabbing company, and I started rehabbing homes. And we did like, the first year we didn't know what we were doing. We did like 1 or 2. And then after that, the next year we did 13 rehabs. And from there, we did like 25 the next year and like 36 the next year. We did like a ridiculous amount of rehabs. And we started growing and growing and growing. So then what happened is I got pregnant. Okay. Now, I got into the habit with rehabbings, which is not the habit that anybody should be getting into, but I got into the habit of like just wanting more and more and more rehabs. And the reason why is because I loved getting those, like, you know, closing and making 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 grand, right? And so I would close on these deals and I would just roll the money from my private lenders over to the next house and just keep rolling it over and rolling it over. And then what happens is I got pregnant. And at that time, when I got pregnant, which was in 2015, I had Lillian in 2016. Okay. 2015, I got pregnant. And then I started to freak out, because essentially what happened is that I did not focus on passive income at all. Like I was doing 10 to 15 rehabs at a time. And, you know, and then I got pregnant and I was thinking, like, how in the hell am I managing all these rehabs with this baby? There is no way, right? Because I was already running around like a crazy person. And so what I did was I told my husband, that's it, we're not buying any more houses. And we had 15 rehabs that we're working on, and we had like 15 rehabs in the pipeline. And it was going to take us forever to just finish all that anyway. So I just knew that I was going to have to, like, can't buy any rehabs anymore. And we need to start focusing on passive income. That's it. Because like we had no passive income at all. And so I just stopped buying houses, really is what I did. And so then I talked to my realtor, and it's the same realtor I have to this day. And he helped me find all my houses. So back in the day when I was rehabbing homes, you could just go on the MLS and you could just get houses, because there was like a plethora of houses, right? Now you can't do that anymore. But so I told my realtor, I was like, Richard, I was like, we cannot, like, I can't buy any more houses. I'm sorry. And he was just like, what? You know, because he had just bought a brand new truck, you know, from me. And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm pregnant. I was like, I can't buy any more houses. I can't do any more rehabs. I'm out. I was like, but I have all this money that I've raised from all these different lenders. And what I can do is roll that money over into something else. And what I want is passive income. And he's like, buy rental properties. And I was like, at that point, honestly, I was so over rental properties. I'm sorry. I was so over houses. Anyways, I was just like, I don't even really want any more houses. I'm just so done with them. And this was at the time, like 2015, 2016, 2017. If anybody remembers here, is when like multifamily was like just started to be talked about. Like people were just not like multifamily is like huge right now, right? Like people were just like starting to talk about it. Like nobody wanted to get into multifamily from like 2010 to 2015. Like nobody wanted to do it, right? And so he was like, let's look at some multifamily stuff or whatever. And I was like, okay, let's go look at that. And I started looking at all these apartment buildings, small ones, big ones, and they all just needed so much work. And I was just like not in the mood to do like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of rehabs. I just couldn't do it anymore, right? Especially me with pregnant, walking around, like, you know, all this kind of stuff, right? So I was just like, I just can't do it. And he was like, okay, well, what about this? And he started sending me like these portfolio packages of like houses. Like, why don't you just buy like 20 houses, He's like, and then you could just hire a property management person to like manage these properties. And I was just, at that time, I was just like, I'm so over houses. I can't do houses anymore. So then he was like, okay, well, what about this? And he found a storage facility. He's like, what about storage? And I was like, storage, that's kind of interesting. I'm intrigued, you know? And so I lived in Peachtree City, Georgia. If anybody knows where that's at, it's a suburb of Atlanta. And this storage facility was in Fayetteville, which is like maybe 15 minutes from my house. It was not very far at all. And I was like, oh, it's only like 15 minutes away too. Like I could just like, you know, get up, manage that thing, and then like go back to the baby, you know, easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? And so I was like, yeah, I'm intrigued. Let me go over there to take a look at it. So I did. I drove over and I took a look at this thing. And when I drove up to this facility, okay, it looked like this. Okay. And here's the street to come into the facility. And this is kind of like a main street right here. Okay. That's a main street. And this is it. And it looked like this is the 3 acre. It's like a 3 acre lot. Okay. This is 3 acres. And inside of it was the storage, like one long skinny storage facility right here with like, you know, doors going across. I didn't know how many it was, but I could just see like what it looked like. Okay. And then this was like supposedly parking spaces. Okay. All the way across. I don't know what it looked like because I couldn't get into it, but I just drove up and that's kind of what it looked like. All right. Except for the owner, this place was a dump. Like literally it was a dumping ground. Like the owner was just like, go, you know, for the parking, he was like, just go find a parking spot, park wherever you want. So like people were just like randomly parking wherever. And you know, there was like RVs, boats, big, and the one thing that we park here now is big rigs. So we cater, it's kind of in an industrial area, like the industrial area of Fayetteville. So we cater to like big rigs, box trucks, dump trucks, tow trucks. That's kind of what we park here now, right? Who could imagine that I would have been like from rehabbing to like big rig parking, right? But that's what I do. I do some big rig parking. And guess what? I love parking. I love me some parking, right? All right, so now I drove up to this thing and it was like the dumpiest thing ever. Here was this huge big pile of tires. So many tires, like you could just tell over the years they were just like, oh, just go throw it. And this is not our property right here. This is like somebody else's property. And you could just tell they were like, oh, just go throw them over there or whatever. All these big tires, you know, from like big trucks and stuff like that. And I drove up and I was just like, this is something that I could, like, for some reason, I was like, this is something that I can do, right? Because it's like dumpy, but like not like dumpy to where like you're doing like construction. It's dumpy as in like minimal cleanup, like it's just cleanup. And then when you buy a mismanaged facility, this is a mismanaged facility, right? So we're going to talk today about the different ways that you can invest in self-storage. And the first one is mismanaged facility. Mismanaged. Okay, this is a mismanaged facility. And the name of this facility was Big John's. Big John's Storage is what it was. All right. So I called up my realtor and I was like, I want to meet the owner is what I want to do. I don't want to talk to the realtor. I want to meet the owner because this was on the market for 5 years and nobody wanted to buy it. This is back in the day when things would be on the market for 5 years and nobody would want to buy them, right? So this was on the market for 5 years. And so I said, let me talk to Big John, get a hold of Big John. And so he said, okay. So he made an appointment with us. And it was me. So it was me and my husband, and it was Richard. And then also I already knew that I was probably most likely going to buy this thing. So I brought one of my lenders with me. This is one of my tricks. All right. If I know for sure that I'm going to buy something, I invite my lenders to come look at the house. or look at the property or whatever it is. Like, because when they see it versus like you just asking them, they're always like into it. And this is one of my lenders that I worked with for over the, for the past 5 years, one of my very first lenders and private lenders who happened to just be a neighbor. So I was like, oh, how do you find your private lenders? Guess what? I just talked to my neighbor and he wanted to give me some money. All right. And so I asked my neighbor, it was my realtor, my husband, and myself. And we met Big John and his realtor there, right? And and Big John was a little tiny older fella that was like almost 90 years old. He was like 88 years old, 89 years old, okay? And he had this storage facility since 1980. So almost like what was that? Like 30 years or 40 years? I can't imagine. Anyway, so he had it for a long time, right? And he was like, look, he's like, the first 20 years were awesome. He's like, the last 10 years, he's like, it's just not awesome. He's like, I'm over this thing. My wife wants to move to Florida. And he's telling us his life story, honestly. And I'm going to tell you, with mismanaged facilities, your job is to listen. Because that is what they want you to do. They want you to listen to their story and they want to know if you actually care because this is his baby. He's had this thing for 30 plus years, right? He wants to make sure that whoever he hands this over to is going to take care of it as much as he did, which is not a lot, but it's a big deal, right? And every single one of my facilities that I've ever bought are mismanaged facilities. I buy mismanaged facilities. We'll get into the other ones later, but I might buy mismanaged facilities because there's a couple of reasons, but number one, I can connect easily with these people and I can get like super low prices. And I'll tell you, because you'll hear the story. I know how to talk to these people, right? If you're not that type of person, you don't want to connect with these people, then you should focus on income producing properties, which is the second way to invest in self-storage, right? Mismanaged income producing. Income producing is like, give me the P&L, give me the balance sheet, give me the numbers. Let me look at this. Let me analyze this thing, right? And that is income producing properties. I do mismanaged properties because I like to just chill with my homies and talk. All right. Okay. So now when I talked to John, he's told me that there's 64 units, 64 10 by 10 units. Okay. So we're going to do some mathematics. This is an easy way for you to do deal analysis. I'm going to show you what to do. Okay. 64 10 by 10 units. Okay. And then he said that he had around 30 parking spaces. Okay. So 30 parking. Okay. And I asked him, what do you charge for your 10 by 10s? And he told me $35 a month. $35. Okay. So we're going to do 10 by 10 is $35. Okay. And there's 64 of these. How much is that? Tell me if anybody could calculate that out. That'd be great. And just let me know in the chat. Okay. If you're listening, if you haven't fallen asleep, everybody should be having their coffee, right? I got my coffee, actually Starbucks chai tea, but okay. Now the parking spaces, 30 parking spaces. All right. I said, well, how much are you charging for those? He said $35 a month. All right. So he had 30 parking at $35 a month. So what is that? We have what do you say, 2240 plus 1050. Thank you. All right, we got some people on top. But what does that add up to? 3290, right? 3290 is what he should be making. Okay. So I said, John. Actually, everybody called him Butch. But so I said, Butch, even though it was Big John's, everybody called him Butch. I don't know. Anyway, so I said, Butch, what, what are you making per month as we're walking around? And basically I told my lender, I told my realtor, and I told PS, like, as we're walking around, try to figure out how much money we can make with this thing, right? Because, this is back in the day where like, I had no idea about cap rates. I had no idea about deal analysis, nothing. Like, I was just like, oh, this is a storage facility. Let's see what we can do with this, right? So I was like, so I said, John, how much are you making per month? And he said he was making $2,300 a month. He's like, I'm making about $2,300. Now, when a mismanaged facility owner tells you how much they're making, they're always lying to you, just FYI. And the reason why is because they have no idea, right? Okay, but he was saying that he was making $2,300 a month, right? I was like, $2,300 a month. I was like, Butch, what? I was like, how could you be full and like make that much? And he's like, yeah, I'm full. And I was like, okay, well, how? I was like, are you just not like, what's happening? Are there a lot of people not paying or what? He's like, oh yeah, no, I'm full of crap and nobody's paying. That's what he said. I was like, okay, now I get it, right? He's like, every single one of the units is full. He's like, every parking space is full, but nobody's paying. Hardly anybody's paying at all. He's like, I think I'm making around $2,300 a month. And I said, well, can you prove that you're making $2,300 a month? He's like, I don't have a P&L. I don't have a balance sheet. I have nothing. He's like, I have this one thing. And he went to his desk and he pulled out his ledger. And it was literally a ledger, like a book. And this is where he kept track of it. And he said, I'm cash only. So no cash is going into this book. Only anybody that gives me a check. And every once in a while I'll get some checks or whatever. That is a mismanaged facility. All right. That's a mismanaged facility. Okay. And so when he told me that, like in my mind, I heard basically like this thing is going to be a cash cow. And I need to make sure I get it to the right price. He wanted to sell this thing for $500,000. $500,000. Okay. That's what it was on the market for 5 years. Okay. So, so now as I'm looking at this property and it's a dump, and he's like, look, I know it's a dump. I get it, but like, I'm not into it. Like, I just need to sell this thing and be done with it. I said, okay. I said, John, the reason why nobody is buying this from you is because they cannot go to a bank and get a loan. Okay. I said, nobody has $500,000, especially right now in 2015 or 2016 is when it was, right? Especially in 2016, nobody has $500,000. We're all coming out of the bubble and trying to figure out what we're doing. I said, and number one, like they would have to pay cash for this because there's no bank that's going to lend on this property because a bank is going to require, and this is exactly what income producing properties require, P&Ls, balance sheets, tax returns, rent rolls, like proof of everything that's going to prove that that income is coming in. Number one, you can't do that. Number two, you're not even making what this thing could make, right? You're only making $2,300. If it was full, you'd be making over like $3,300. You'd make at least $1,000 more. And you're saying that you're only making $2,300. I was like, so we're not gonna be able to go to a bank and get a loan. I said, so I am the perfect buyer for you. I'm telling you, I'm the perfect buyer because I have a lender that will lend on this deal. And I was like, Rick, what do you think? Like, would you be okay with lending the money to me on this deal to buy it? And Rick was like, yeah, I'll give you the loan money. I can close in a week. I can close in 2 weeks, whenever you want. Right. So that's the power of having the lender right there with you, is y'all can just like buddy up and be like, we got this, we got the cash. Right. And so that's what we do. I buddy up with my lenders and I talk to the owners that way. Okay. And so I was like, Butch, I was like, nobody can be able to buy this thing. It says, but the truth of the matter is that I'm not going to be able to buy this for $500,000. It's not worth $500,000. It would be worth $500,000 if you were 100% full and you could prove that income, but you can't. So because of that, I'm going to give you an offer, and this offer that I'm going to give you, it's going to hurt you. It's going to sting you, just so you know, because it's going to be a low offer. But I have the money to close, and we can close next week. So you just have to decide what you want to do, right? And he said, well, what's the offer? And I said, the offer is $200,000. $200,000. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do $200,000. And I was like, okay, well, that's my offer. And I already knew that he was going to come back and say 250. I already knew this because I just know, right? But I said $200,000. I was like, if you change your mind, just let us know. This is, you can just talk to Richard, talk to your realtor, whatever you want to do. And he said, okay. And so the next day he called, actually his realtor called my realtor and said he'll take $250,000, right? So I picked up this facility for $250,000. All right, let's do the math. All right, let's do the math. So we have the number at 3290, 2300. Okay, let's do this. So now we have 64 10 by 10 units that he had for $35. We called the competition to see what they were charging, and they were charging $60 a month. What they were doing, this is back like 2015 or so, okay? $60 a month. So we knew that we could get it up to $60 a month, okay? Now this parking, we went in there and we rearranged the entire parking. We rearranged this entire parking. He got 30 in there. We now have 70 parking spaces. That's how screwed up his parking was. All right. So we have 70 parking spots. Parking spots are 60 by 10. Usually we have 60 by 10. I mean, we have a lot of space. It's 3 acres, right? So 60 by 10s. And sometimes if you don't have a lot of space, you can do 30 by 10s or 40 by 10s or 50 by 10s or whatever, right? But we have 60 by 10, 70, 60 by 10 parking. And they are now $75 each. $75 each. Oops, they were $35. Okay, so now let's add this up. Can y'all do some multiplication for me? 64, okay, we had 64 units at $35, came out to $22.40 and $10.50, right? So we have $22.40 plus $10.50, right? Is the units and the parking. And then now we have 64 at 60. What is that? What's 64 times 60? Anybody? 64 times 60. Is that 36? 4,000 maybe? Somebody help me, please. 3840. Okay, good. 3840 and 70 at $75. 70 at 75 is like what? 5,000? 5250, good. Okay, so now add that up. This one was what number? 3290, I think. Something like that. What's this number? 9090, yes. Times 12. We're making almost $100,000 a year on this property. We're making and honestly, we can make more money. We could really make more. We should really be at like 112 or something. If we were like fully capped out, all 100% and everything. This is how we did our math back in the day. Now I get on and do deal analysis and all kinds of stuff. But like you could just start out with this, right? This is how I started out. All right. So we are making around $9,000 a month. $9,000 a month. Minus expenses. 30%, right, is expenses. What's that? It's like $3,000, right? So So we're netting around $6,000. This is the NOI. Right? NOI. Okay. So we're making about 6,000 times 12, 72,000, but actually we're making more than that. But we're netting that much every single month. Okay. We bought this property for $250,000. Now, if your purchase price is $250,000, right? Your vacancy, 8%, we run our numbers at 8% typically in the industry because people are coming and going and you're always never 100% full, you know. Sometimes you're 100% and then you're like 90 and all this kind of stuff, right? Okay, and then purchase price, vacancy, expenses. This is total expenses is 30% of your income, annual income, and this is income. Right, so we're making $9,000 a month times 12 is what? 98? That's 98, right? That's the gross income, not the net income. This is the gross income. Equals your cap rate. So we are in the commercial real estate world now, right? With storage. Once you go commercial, you never go back. FYI, okay? And in the commercial real estate world, you have to understand cap rate, NOI, ROI, debt service ratio, yield, cash on cash return. Like you could get away with how I did it in the beginning. You could get away with your first one or, one, maybe two. But then after that, you got to start like using your bubblegum brain. Right? You start looking at your whole estate. How am I going to do this? How am I going to grow this? Right? Okay. The people that own one storage facilities, they do not understand cap rate. Those are your targets. That's what I call the hidden market. If they own one facility, most of the time, they are not going to understand this 80% of the time. Okay. That's called the hidden market. Now, cap rate. What's a good cap rate? Right? That's the question everybody's always asking, right? Okay. So here's primary market, secondary market, and tertiary markets. Primary, secondary, tertiary. No matter if you're residential or commercial, you need to understand this concept. And you can use cap rate in residential. A lot of the times people use cap rate in like the BRRRR method or rental properties or something like this, okay? This is the primary market. Where are y'all located again? Put it into the chat. All right, is there anybody located in a secondary market? Is everybody primary, right? Primary markets, Atlanta, Nashville, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, whatever, Orlando, okay? And then you have the secondary market. The burbs of primary markets are not secondary markets. If you see a CubeSmart, if you see a Life Storage, if you see a U-Haul, if you see extra space storage, you are not in a secondary market. You're in a primary market. Because 8 out of 10 times they focus on primary markets. Now, remember, primary markets grow, right? So like Fayetteville at one point was a secondary market. Now it's a primary market. I mean, Peachtree City is a primary. There's like a huge, big ass U-Haul that went up in like 600 units. That's a primary market, okay? Valdosta, Georgia has 60,000 people in it. There's no U-Hauls there. There's no Life Storages. So there are cities near you that are considered secondary markets that you can focus on. Do you need to have your storage facility right around the corner? Hell no. Why? Because you don't want to be that person that gets up and goes and unlocks your storage facility every single day. You want to use your bubblegum brain, and you want them to be at arm's length, right? So storage can be true passive income while building passive wealth. And the way that you do that is the further away the storage facility that you buy, the more passive that facility becomes. All right. So secondary, primary, secondary, and then this is tertiary. All of our facilities are 4 to 6 hours away from us, if not further. All right. We're in Georgia. We're about to buy 2 in Florida. And we're focusing on now from Texas to Georgia is where we're doing, like across kind of like the 20 and the 10 is where we're going to be. And because we know, like, you don't have to be near them. We have one storage facility that's like right around the corner. And my husband's like, I'm going to the storage facility, you know, like almost every other day. I'm like, we got to get rid of that sucker. So he ain't going to the storage facility all the time. So we're selling that one. Primary, secondary, and tertiary markets. Okay, so this is the cap. This is how you look at your cap rate now. The cap rates, if you want to buy in the primary market, you have a lot of money. You know how to raise money. You know how to, you know how to syndicate. You know how to put a fund together, right? You know somebody that has millions and millions and millions of property. Okay, millions and millions of property, millions and millions of dollars. 4 to 6%. Okay. Secondary. Right? This is the percentage for the cap rate. Secondary is like 7 to 8. Maybe let's say 6. Sometimes 6, right? But mostly 7 to 8%. Okay, for secondary markets. All right, and then tertiary is going to be like 8+. Okay, tertiary is country. Secondary is like cities that are big cities, not near major metropolitan areas. Every state has these. I focus on secondary and tertiary markets. Why? Because I don't want to play with the big boys. And first of all, I don't understand, like, why would you buy something for $5 million and sell it for $6 million? Right? I don't understand that. That's just like, you don't make that much money, right? But they have so much money to spend, like they're okay with like making that percentage. I'll buy something for $250,000, right? Like this one, or $500,000. It's like I focus on less than $1 million, right? Essentially is what I do. But like, I'll buy something. Sorry, that was yesterday. Okay. I'll buy something for, I like this one right here. We bought it for $250,000. We're going on year 5. We're going into year 5 now for this one. We just got an offer for $950,000. $950,000 on this property. And these types of properties are everywhere in tertiary and secondary markets. If you do exactly what I tell you to do, which is focus on this in the hidden market, the right cap rate in the hidden market, 8+ cap rates on the back end, right? Because when you buy a mismanaged facility, your cap rate is going to be like, right? So you're looking at my cap rates. Let's calculate this out. Everybody should be always have the cap rate calculator on your phone. Cap rate calculator app. All right. All investors have the cap rate calculator on their app. A cap rate calculator on their phone. Does anybody here actually have a cap rate calculator on their phone? Just download cap rate calculator app. All right. And you should have this. I literally use this thing every single day. Okay. And I already gave you the inputs of a cap rate calculator app, right? The purchase price, the vacancy, the expenses, and the income. Okay. So if you have a cap rate calculator app, this is what mine looks like. Y'all can see there's the 4 inputs right there. And any one of them works just as long as those 4 inputs are there. And I'm going to buy this thing for $250,000. That's the purchase price. My income was $98K. If vacancy is 8% and my expenses are 30% of 98, so what, 30 grand? Let's just say 30 grand. Let's just say 35 grand. That comes out right here to a 22% cap rate. 22% cap rate. So what we look for on the back end for mismanaged facilities is, on a mismanaged facility, when you buy it, the cap rate is like 0. You know, sometimes like I said, if you ran the numbers for $250,000, he was making 2,300. Let's just say, what is that? 2,000, 24,000. Let's say 30 grand is what he was making. Okay. And then 30% of that is what, how much is that? It's 10,000. So his cap rate for at 250 grand, if I would have bought it, that cap rate came out to 7%. You can see the cap rate right down there. Okay. 7% at $250,000 based on his numbers, which actually isn't really too bad, honestly. But I talked him down from 500,000 to 250. And I knew on the back end, the opportunity, which most people are afraid of taking this risk. They want the rent roll. They want the P&L. They want the balance sheet. They want the numbers. And what I want is on the back end in 2 years to triple the value of this facility so that I could sell it or hold on to it, refi out, whatever I want to do. Right? Something like that. Okay. So every property that I've ever bought, my cap rates are 20 to 30% cap rates. And I buy those in secondary to tertiary markets. All right. That's where I buy those. You cannot get this cap rate in a primary market. I just talked to somebody that bought like a multifamily unit, 160 units. I remember where he bought it. And he was like, yeah, we just picked it up 4 cap. And I was like, a 4 cap? Who the hell wants to buy something for a 4 cap? I don't know. He was so happy about that, right? And it was a class B property. Like there was hardly anything. He's a class B property at 4%. And he was going to be happy to take it to 6%. I was just like, what? That's when you have a lot of money. You don't care what you spend your money on anymore, right? So anyways, so that is mismanaged properties, right? There's a lot more to this, but I got 3 more minutes. All right. You got to come to every month. I teach self-storage investing through REI USA. So you have to come to my sessions to get this and to get this to click and to understand it. You have to come to my sessions. Okay. So mismanaged properties. Income producing properties. New construction. These are for all those people who are listening to me like, I got the best piece of land for a storage facility. That's here. All right. Conversions. Lots of those like empty retail centers everywhere now that you can convert. All right. Wholesaling. Yes, you can wholesale commercial property and make way more money than residential. Just FYI. Okay. And lending. These are the 6 ways that you can invest in self-storage. So number 1, in the chat right now, tell me right now, are you in a primary market, but you know of secondary and tertiary markets that you could look for properties on? All right. Are you in where, which market are you in? Which markets do you think you can find to go and look for properties? Okay. And then number 2, put into the chat for me as well, so I know which of these you really are interested in. I know we have mismanaged and income producing properties. I only talked about mismanaged today, But we have new construction, you can do conversions, wholesaling, you can do lending. Which of these are something that you'd be interested in? So I know, so that when you show up to my sessions, which is like, it's like I think it's the first Tuesday of every month, in the afternoon, in the evening times. But when you show up to my sessions, which of these are you interested? So I know what I should be teaching. So which of these do you think that you would like to learn about more? Okay. But like I said, self-storage is the best kept secret in the real estate investing world. I promise. Everybody says that, but this is the truth. And then, you know, me and my husband, we just sold our house, bought an RV, and we're traveling starting November 10th for the next couple of years. We're going to manage our properties and travel. And our goal is to buy 10 to 20 more storage facilities. We're buying now number 10, 11, 12, and 13. And our goal is to buy 10 to 20 more over the next couple of years while we're traveling in our RV. That is what you call lifestyle by design. That is what you call having your dreams come true. And I have done every real estate investing transaction out there. And self-storage is really one of the very few in the industry where you can actually live and work anywhere you want and still manage your properties. So that's why I think it's the best kept secret in the real estate investing world. All right. I see conversions. I see mismanaged. Any final questions before we hand it over to you, Kiko? Let's see. Does expenses include repairs, maintenance, evictions, parking lot divisions? Does not include. Expenses do not include CapEx. Expenses do not include CapEx. Okay, so CapEx is if you're going to do like major repairs and stuff. So for instance, like one of our properties we're about to repave because it's looking pretty bad. So that would be under CapEx. But all those other things that you said, anything that you need to run your business with, that's considered expenses. Is the repayment of your lender included in your 30%? Yes, the mortgage is included into the 30%. Okay. All right, so that's included. All right. You do NOI minus mortgage, the NOI minus mortgage. Okay. How are you finding facilities out of state? Are you using a certain app? No, I do exactly what I did. What I said is I contact owners that have one storage facility. That's what I do. Okay, good. Wholesaling, mismanaged. Okay, wholesaling and mismanaged conversions and mismanaged. I love it. I'm in Georgia. What market would Gwinnett County be considered? That is considered a primary market. Primary market. What's the defining criteria to determine a mismanaged? Mismanaged facilities is when the owner cannot give you the numbers, cannot give you a P&L, won't give you a P&L, won't give you a balance sheet. The owner is when the mismanaged facility is when a bank will not lend to you. Ask a lender, would you lend on this? And if they say no, because you can't prove your income, it's considered mismanaged. Okay. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, good. Great questions. Like I said, I'm the first Tuesday of every month. I teach self-storage investing. So hop on and hang out with us. All members of REI USA are welcome to come and hang out and learn how to invest in self-storage. Okay.